Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Rivalz Race Chat on a Monday here. Bit of a program shift, but we'll explain that in a minute. First off, want to welcome everybody joining us directly out of Cam's show here on Monday nights, and good deal on them. Their 100th show, so good for you, Cam. Way to go. Always out there promoting the sport, and we appreciate it, and we appreciate you being here on G-Force with us and letting us steal some of your audience after your show tonight. So, Adam, how you doing today on a Monday?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. Another late night at the racetrack on the weekend, late drive home. But no, things are good. It was a good weekend of racing. It was a good weekend because we were at the racetrack 2 nights. Was the racing good? Friday night, it's hard to argue that the racing was good just with how much carnage there was.
Yeah, Spencer, do we have the sizzle reel from Friday that we close out? I think Dan said 19 incidents that, roll it out if you can, Spence. We'll jump right into that. We are expecting Josh Stade, Treyten Lapcevich, and Nick Sheridan to join us tonight as well. And for those watching on Tuesday, welcome to our Monday program. Join us. So Friday night, best way to describe it out of my 25-plus years last weekend, I don't think I've ever seen a night with that much craziness. It was just one of those deals where it was just craziness. Here's a bit of the end sizzle reel of just some of the crashes and carnage and the wrecks. Curtis Gartley, talked to him yesterday. He's doing all right. Cam McKinnon got in the fence there and wrecked his car. Kazinga got together. Wirt and Dinning, Grossel and another car there flipped really bad. Glenn and Schrader got together as they were battling for the win. And then it just went on and on. Murdoch got wrecked leading the crates. I mean,
Yep.
It was one thing after another. And then even the restart with the 360s, they all piled into each other, drove over each other that way. Of course, Dylan Westbrook grabs another win, but that was just our show-ending reel that we end the program with on Friday night. But wild night, Adam. I don't remember a night when it was that crazy.
And it wasn't the track's fault. There are nights when the track is real rough and you got cars bouncing into each other and it creates havoc. This wasn't that. This was... Some of it was circumstance. Some of it's a lack of respect. But
I'll give you that. Turn 1 had character, as some of the drivers will say it. Turn 1, there's still that one little bump in there, and it looked fairly gnarly getting the night out, but it smoothed out throughout the night from my perspective anyways. But 95% of the rest track was perfect. So anything that didn't happen or initiated in Turn 1 was definitely not track-related, I can tell you that. But, it was just a wild night, and the way I've been describing it is like if we had 3 tow trucks on the scene, there were 4 cars wrecked all night long, it seemed. And even when the flatbed was taking cars back, we needed them out here already, and they were still unloading the scrap pile that they just took back there 2 laps earlier. So, it was a long night for everybody.
The simple combination that I saw in a few cases was people changing lanes on a straightaway and people not lifting. You get into a bad situation and just keeping your foot to the floor, trying to drive through it. I mean, Thunderstock's wrecked that way, Modified wrecked that way, and bad. So it's just a matter of, people race how they race. We can't drive the cars. We can comment on things, but it was eye-opening.
We had to use the skid steer how many times? I think we knocked out 7 to 9 blocks throughout the night. Broke a couple of them in 2, which I've never seen those blocks be split on an angle the way they were. Very strange. They just the whole place took a beating. It was a rough night at the bar on Friday night, I can tell you that. But it was just craziness, and I guess maybe it was Devil's Night because it was Halloween and August promotion on the night. Not sure, but of course, it's always a night where we got to travel up somewhere else, so we have those crazy nights. But a pretty wild night. Most of the teams, got out of it alive, but some of them, struggled with some rough car, and hopefully they can get it all back together. Just quickly capping off our weekend this night, no sprints, and Glenn asked me today why no 360 sprints, and this was supposed to be the weekend we were going to get SRX, so we would have raced with 360s and SRX on Thursday of this week. We gave the Friday off so Ransomville could have 360s and possibly crates mixed in with them at Ransomville this Friday. So that's why there's no sprints on schedule for Friday. And we've already talked about our schedule going forward, but that's the reasoning there. Just to cap off, I'll speak one more thing. I did call Steve at the fabrication shop, talk to him about the towing bars, Adam. I said we need an apparatus on the back of these tow trucks that we own now that can pick up these sprint cars in about 30 seconds, no matter what the condition of them are, and let's get them on out of here. So we are trying to improve that as well from the sprint car side, and we'll figure it out. Josh Stade's waiting to talk to us, though. Anything you want to finish off that with when we bring Josh in, Adam?
No, we'll come back to it later, like when we close out the show and have closing thoughts. But no, it was just a crazy night. If you like crashes, that was the night to be at the track.
Yeah, I'll bring Josh Stade on, the winner from Saturday's big race at Sunset with the APC series. And, Josh, welcome to the program. The way I would describe Friday night, Adam, is, people were still there till the end of the night. And even you and I were both shocked how many people were still there at the end of the night, because they leave on a regular night. And so I think there's just so much crazy shit going on. Nobody wanted to miss anything or what was possibly going to get destroyed next. So it was like a wild daredevil show. Nobody wanted to leave. But, the way I describe it, and Josh, maybe you can answer this too, some people come to the races to see good strategy and clean passing. And then some people come to see guys get wrecked and do crazy things and get out destroyed race cars and say it was great. Just like hockey, some people go to see great passes and some people go to see other people get punched in the face. So I guess that's all what kind of fan you are. Josh, congratulations. Welcome to the show. First off, I can't believe this is only your second APC race win, and I don't mean to start the show off that way, but you just run so good. I feel like the series owed you a bunch of races. It was good to see you grab one on Saturday night.
Yeah, just a lot of circumstances over the years. And I mean, anyone that knows our program knows that we're maintenance freaks. I mean, it's Monday night. We just won Saturday. The thing was unloaded yesterday, and we've already scaled it twice tonight as soon as I was done work. So when it comes to our program, I mean, we go through everything with a fine-tooth comb, and just some unfortunate stuff over the years that's out of your control. The ball joint breaking at Sunset, that was a heartbreaker. The rear end, the first race of Sunset, never broke a rear end, never had ignition box issues, had both of those in the same night, and we were quick opening night there at the start of the year. So I feel like a little bit of redemption is kind of nice to get one of these big races under our belt.
How much can you tell us about the changes you made in your chassis from Sauble 1 week ago to Sunset this past weekend?
Yeah, like I felt like we found a lot. I'm not gonna go into full detail on that because I feel like obviously when we did it, we had no time to test because with APC you're not allowed to test a week before the race. So all we had was an hour worth of practice on Saturday. But yeah, we scratched our heads at doing this for quite a few weeks, and then we finally bit the bullet and said, let's start cutting and redoing some pickup points out back, and went with something totally different that I've never had in any of my late model cars before, as far as the rear end geometry and stuff like that. And obviously it kind of prevailed and I liked it. And, I feel like our team is always saying, we touch the car too much, but it's so hard. Like everyone is so close in APC. So when you're down a couple of tenths, you're trying to find it because I feel like you need it. And track position, like these cars are so close when it comes to practice and qualifying, and you try to find everything that you can find. And, we just kind of scratched our mentality a little different Saturday and say, it's going to be what it's going to be. Let's not overthink this. Let's get back to just square one, having fun, and just really think about what the driver wants as opposed to what the car is asking. So, we weren't definitely the quickest in practice by any means. We were sixth quickest, which was good enough for me. I was comfortable in the car. And then we went out in qualifying, and I felt really comfortable in the car in qualifying. And, even throughout the race, the guys are like, do you want to bring it in? Do you want to do anything? And I'm like, I think I'm pretty content. Let's just ride it out and see what we got. And hopefully it comes to us a little bit.
Josh, that's got to be nerve-wracking rolling into a place, no practice, not sure if it's going to work, into a competitive field like that. Talk to us a bit about your emotions pulling in. Were you excited? Were you nervous? Were you like, what was the thoughts going into the day?
Yeah, like on race day, I'm always really excited. I'm really I love it. I mean, I think anyone that races has a passion for it that runs really deep, and even my wife, and my kids wanted to come, and I was like, the season that we've been having, things haven't been going our way. If you want to stay home, I'm fine with that, because we're trying something new, and I am going through the weekend with zero expectation. At this point, I feel like I'm out of the points hunt. I think we're 7th in points right now, after Saturday, but up until then we were like 10th and just had some misfortunate stuff. And some of that is kind of on us though too. We went out east, we had a really good car, we got another car took the rad out of us, and then we came back and put the work in to get the motor and the shock package back in the car for APC for Sauble, and again kind of fell on the same week that we raced on, so didn't get a chance to go and shake the car down. Like I've done, this summer has been absolutely brutal for me for even getting to a track to test. I haven't had one test day. If anything, the only thing I've done was I took it to Sauble to shake the motor down for going out east, just to make sure there's no leaks and stuff like that. So it's been a tough year work-wise, trying to get away from work and get to the track and get some testing in, and it just hasn't been good for us. But no, I just kind of went through Saturday. I had zero expectations, and our mindset was kind of, we're going out to win races. We're not points racing at this point. Let's just focus on the strategy, and let's hopefully have a decent car and be in position to go and get one of these big wins, big checks.
How important is momentum, Josh? Like you got this win, and now we're going home. The next race is Sauble Speedway. So could this be the start of a streak? You've got to feel something.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm trying to stay very optimistic, just only because every time I find I get my hopes up, something happens, and it's nerve-wracking, So even Saturday, I was just surprised. The guys right off the hop were racing hard, and I thought, for a 200 lapper, everyone's going to settle in, just be content where they're starting, and then just slowly get into a line. And if you got a good car, you're going to slowly pick them off. And for us, we started second, and I was content with Cole leading and us just following in behind and hopefully being able to stay up front. And then, next thing, my dad's calling outside, cars are passing us on the outside, and we got passed by 4 or 5 cars. And I'm thinking, wow, we're really pacing this race off really quick. So we dropped back to 7th, and I was like, I really don't know how good of a car we had yet at that point. And then there was a few times I thought, okay, I'm going to give it 3 hard laps here and see what I can do. And I was getting off the brake pedal and I was rolling right up to guys' back ends. And I thought, okay, we have a really good piece here. So, yeah, on the momentum side of things, we're going home. I'm obviously preparing. I want to test there. So if I can get out this week, if possible, I don't know how that's going to work with the passing of Jeff Cassidy, and sorry to their family again for that from Sauble, but hoping that we can get out there this week and shake the car down and see what we did applied well at Sunset. Hopefully it applies well at home.
Yeah, we'll get to Jeff Cassidy in a minute. Of course, our thoughts go to the Cassidy family there. If you're missing or if you're new to the story, one of the co-owners there of Sauble Speedway, Jeff, passed away Saturday morning. We'll discuss that a bit later. But Josh, being your home track, does this package at Sunset translate to Sauble? And the other question I had is one of our young camera guys asked me, what's the difference in size? What would you say is bigger? I feel like Sauble's got a little bit longer straightaways, but maybe I'm wrong. Well, what's the size there between the two, and does it translate?
Yeah, I don't know if it translates yet. I'm not sure. That's kind of what I'm wanting to go test. See, like when we ran our limited late back in the day, it was nothing for us to take what we had at Sauble and go to Sunset and a few minor changes, and we were really competitive. I feel like for some of us, and maybe I'm speaking out of term for other drivers, but for me, I feel like I'm overthinking these cars too much, and I'm trying to get myself back into the mindset of like, it's still a race car. If it needs stagger, if it needs some of these small stuff, I'm not going to be afraid to try new things. And that's kind of what happened last Saturday. So Sunset is definitely bigger. It's a 3/8 and Sauble is a quarter. Sauble's a tight little bull ring track that has 2 grooves, and the racing is a lot of fun. And it's just so much flatter than Sunset. So I'm not really sure yet. That's kind of what I want to go test. I want to hopefully go shake the car down and see if anything that I learned Saturday is going to help me at Sauble in the coming race.
Are you racing anywhere this weekend, Josh?
I'm actually not. This is the first weekend that we're taking the family. We're going camping. I got 2 kids. One's 6, one's 2. So We've had a pretty busy schedule with work and racing and kids sports and stuff like that. So we all got a break in our schedule. So we're actually going to go take a weekend and go camping and enjoy it. But I mean, obviously, yeah, you wish you could race everything, but I got to look after the family too.
Josh, only a couple races left on the APC schedule. Is there anything you're looking forward to? Any post-season stuff you plan on hitting up?
Yeah, like we're gonna do Velocity. I don't know where Frosttoberfest lands, and I mean, obviously, want to win at home. That's number one. Like I said, I'm not points racing, so I'm gonna go and try my best to get those checkered flags. And I like the extended long races. And you know, a couple years ago at Delaware, we were running like 12th or 14th and drove up to third, and I felt like we just needed 2 more laps to seal the deal. And we were all over Jake and Shea at that race for the big APC 200. So I'm hoping that the APC 300, if we can dial this thing in, maybe that's the next big race that we can strike off our list and have the trophy and have the flag back home in Chesley here. Just trying to make our small town of 2,500 people proud. So
that's awesome. I've just got one more question for you, Josh. Talk about the experience of racing at Riverside. Did that racetrack remind you of anything you've been on?
Yeah, it was completely different for us, right? Like we went out with we have a McGonigal motor Ford. They don't restrict you out there, so that was nice to be able to let the Ford breathe with no restrictors. We were less weight than the Chevys. Totally different shock package. So there was a lot that we had to learn in a little bit of time. It felt like you drove the car really hard and you just had to let the bank absorb the whole car. It was really goofy. It kind of reminded me of Jacasta in a sense of how you attack the corner, but it just carried so much speed and just trying to get some of the fundamentals down. And I had a couple of guys that raced out there quite frequently coming up, and they're like, hey, you're entering here, you need to be here. And you know, we went out, we qualified 11th out of the 30 cars. We were faster than Cassius Clark and a couple of the really big hitters out there. And I felt like we had a really good car. And by the halfway break, we were a lap down. We were eligible to get our lap back. We passed 4 or 5 cars right before the halfway break. And then when the halfway break came, someone just drove in the back of us and hit us so hard that we hit the car in front of us and took the rad out of it. But the guys that I passed before the break finished 7th and 8th. So I felt like I don't know if we had a top 5 car per se, but I felt like we had like maybe that 7th or 8th place car. But man, the experience was absolutely incredible. Everyone out there is so laid back, so nice. The tech officials, all the officials were texting us on the way home, appreciated us coming out. Even the amount of local people in the autograph session that were coming up to us and just appreciating the fact that we drove 19 hours to their track and the fact that they got to see a different car and a different scheme and a different driver. There was probably like 15 or 20 people that thanked us just for traveling out there that were just fans. So I thought that was a pretty cool experience. But yeah, I think it's definitely something that we would entertain doing again in a heartbeat. Our team had a lot of fun, and it was something that we can say, you know what, we actually went out there and we raced that track. Maybe didn't get the result that we wanted, but you know, we branched out of our comfort zone and had some fun.
Right on, Josh. Thanks for joining us. Good luck. Hopefully get some testing in there, and we'll see you at Saltville a week from this Saturday, which would be the 24th. We're back in Saltville. So yeah, good luck, Josh.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us. Thanks for everything you do with the G-Force and Racing America. It's absolutely amazing for guys like myself that are self-marketing and getting our sponsorships ourselves. The work that you guys do definitely helps pay off for showing our colors and our logos and our sponsors. So really appreciate everything you guys do, and we'll see you at Salvo.
Awesome, man. Thanks for the kind words.
Always great to hear that feedback. You know, I got some good feedback from the guys at Racing America again this week. They're quite happy with the package the ABC is delivering, and we're happy to be the broadcast partner on that. And that race will show up on Rev TV here in Canada, nationally on Wednesday night. If you haven't seen it, you can check it out there, or of course pick up your Racing America subscription. Catch everything live for only about $10 or so a month. We're going to bring on Treyten Lapcevich, but not for a few more minutes. He's about 10 minutes out. Treyten, you know, we'll describe the whole situation there. Finally knocked down the cars, late model stock car win. It got taken away in post, and that brings up so many questions on just procedures and how it all go. Let's jump into the NASCAR finish, or you want to wrap up? Let's talk about GP3R first, Adam, and then we'll talk about last night's NASCAR race win and the etiquette and ethics of racing behind it. We tried to get Matt Weaver on, who is, probably the most predominant writer as far as speaking his voice. I don't know if you caught his article today on the situation. I saw a video of him with Richard Childress in the media center last night. So Matt's on the scene. He sent me back a message here, sent me a picture of a lady with a beautiful plate of food and said it's date night. And I said, well, that's much better to company than us. Enjoy it. We'll try and get you on next week. But we tried to get Matt on, just talking about the whole NASCAR finish. You guys get your opinions together. We'll talk about that too. Good, bad, the ugly. There's so many ways to go about it. Well, let's decide, Adam. Do you want to talk about that? Do you want to talk about GP3R?
Yeah, let's talk about that. That's the hot topic.
All right. So, wild race. If you didn't see it last night, Spencer, I don't know if you got the finish, but Austin Dillon led and was going to win the race. Okay, before the last caution came out, he had this one wrapped up. He was the fastest car, no doubt about it. Pit strategy, he beat them out of the pits. Then he took the choose rule, took the outside lane or whichever lane. I'm not exactly sure. I can't recall.
He took the inside.
It didn't help him. Logano got him on the restart and drove away. They got their NASCAR overtime, so green white checker. Coming down into 3 last time. No hope of ever being near Logano if he doesn't pull, as Matt quoted it in his article, a late night video game move, where you just poured it in, no hope of making the turn, no effort to control your car, and just plowed through him. Now, that was one thing to get Logano first, but then the hooking of Hamlin after and wrecked not only first, but the car who was going to be now the new guy. Here we go. We see it. So this is right from the restart, I guess? Yes.
Yeah.
So we got audio, Spencer? Can we hear the audio or no? I'm not sure if we're allowed to take the audio too.
So Austin chose the inside. Logano beat him fair and square on this restart. So the challenge is Dillon's fast. Like the way he went into 1 and 2, I'm like, okay, he's got a shot. And then whatever happens in the middle of 1 and 2, Joey got off the turn right there. You see it's over. So look at that. 3 car lengths. Yeah, I'd say 3 at the max. Sails it into the turn.
But then he hooks Joey or Denny Hamlin, and that's got a lot of people really upset too.
So that's not okay. Go ahead, Clinton. Break it down. And
I don't even know what to say. There's so many ways to go about it. First off, let's back it up to coming down the back straight. Did you want him to dump him? I sure as hell did. That's the game we're playing these days. If it's allowed, do it, man. And that is hard for me to say because from our short track background, we would never let this stand. If someone does that, come to the officials, and Tyler Reddick in his post race said, that's bullshit. I'm supposed to be the leader. He goes, I should be the winner of this race. They all should have been disqualified.
I'm gonna give you my opinion after I give you an opinion. What Austin Dillon did is a freaking miracle. He drove that car so far into turn 3, he had no business even getting to turn 4. So he spun Joey Logano out, did a great job to not take out Joey Logano. And then, so what he did to Joey Logano was a premeditated choice. What he did to Denny Hamlin was a reflex. Like, he couldn't have seen that coming. He had to be thrilled that he got around Joey. Whether he tried to hook Denny Hamlin in the right rear or not doesn't matter because that's what he did. But then to still get to the finish line first, it was a series of events that were really impressive that fate didn't take him out before then. Like, watch this. Just to get to Joey and settle the car down enough to be able to turn under him is unbelievable. And to have the wherewithal to clip Denny Hamlin. So, all of that said, what Austin Dillon did last night was a business decision.
Yeah.
This had nothing to do with racing. This had everything to do with Richard Childress Racing having one of the worst years in their history, you've got to get to the playoffs. It's not about being a sportsman. It's not about holding your head up. It's not about having integrity. It's about saving your family's business. And that's what he did. Because there is no line. Denny Hamlin wants a line.
But I don't know if I'd take it down to saving the family business. I don't think Childress was going to be out of business if he didn't go there. It looked bad on him. But I would say the better way to put it, in my opinion, would be, look, he was a 30th-place car, a non-story, with zero chance of making the playoffs or even getting in. Now he's in with a shot at being a champion, and if they get their shit together, it's anybody's shot once you get to the playoffs. But I still think, definitely they knew they were going to wreck him. We all knew we were going to wreck him. And, I said it for years leaving Cayuga many years ago. If they let that go, we'll fight our way out of here every night if we got to do it. But, hey, I was rude. I was like, dump his ass going into 3. I was praying for it. I couldn't believe it. Now, it's one of those things where NASCAR is going to, they're going to call them in and tell them, don't you do that. It's almost like you and I had this talk Saturday about another item where they call you in and they tell you, hey, don't do that again. They're not even yelling at you. On the other side of it, they're kind of like, hey, boys, don't do that again. But they're winking because they sold a lot of tickets. What are we all talking about today? We're all talking about NASCAR. They're loving this. Now, there's talk of repercussions tomorrow. So they were also quoted as saying that it's not in NASCAR's DNA to strip a win. So you're probably going to see some points penalty. But do you think it's possible that they could take the playoff position away for a move like that?
No, I could see them suspending him for the next race, but then giving him a waiver to get into the playoffs.
So it's exactly what I just said. Don't do that again, but a little.
Right. There's precedent set for what they do. You can get suspended for a race for being a butthead, but they will not take your qualification into the playoffs. Not saying that won't change next year. There is no rule in the NASCAR rule book that says you can't do what he did. There's just not. What are the odds? What are the odds? The 2 cars that got screwed were Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin, who are 2 of the most notoriously aggressive drivers in the history of the sport. Like, what are the odds that those are like, if it was Ross Chastain, that might be the only driver that would have been more sensational. Like, it was, I'm not a fan of Austin Dillon. I'm not a big fan of any of them. I try to be fairly neutral, but I've just never got real excited for Austin Dillon. But I was thrilled that when he got out of the car, the crowd was cheering. That would have been horrifying if he got out of the car and the crowd was reacting the way they probably should have, which would be like something out of The Handmaid's Tale with everyone going, shame, shame, shame. But they weren't. They were digging it.
It was entertaining as hell heck. And hey, if these are the rules we're laid out to play with, gloves off. Have at it, boys, as they said a few years back. I thought it was good, exciting racing, and but you got to figure out at what point is it dangerous, these types of things. But I don't know, man. I thought it was exciting to tell. It was definitely has us all talking about it today.
So now that we've broken that down, let's talk about what should happen. I believe it's time. I believe it's time to create a code of conduct. What you expect to happen on the field, because in no other sport do the ends justify the means. Meaning you can't jump over the offensive line before the ball gets snapped, clothesline the quarterback before he's even said hut and walk away. There has to be structure. There has to be, this is okay, this is not okay. I think we're going to get to that. I think this could be the situation that pushes NASCAR to a point that says, okay, because a bump and run as an accepted short track rule. And Denny Hamlin had a really good quote about this, talking about if you're a young racer coming up through the ranks, how do you watch us and know what you're supposed to be doing? This wouldn't fly at a Saturday night track. This would get someone disqualified, punched out, and it would get someone else arrested.
All the above at some places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't disagree. That finish would never be allowed, but it's been accepted for so long. And what's scary is these guys are they're whipping around at way more wilder speeds than our short tracks are. I do agree you're giving the wrong message to the kids, but the other thing is like it's so tough, and I can say this as a guy who's been a race director as very little as I have, and I don't want any more of it. We don't need more judgment calls in the sport. So yeah, I hate to you're saying this could be the tipping point for the scales, but anytime you put more judgment in it, man, you need really good people, or it gets real sticky real quick.
Well, Major League Baseball can have as many as 16 games a night. That's 16 umpires you need judging multi-million-dollar entities calling balls and strikes, and they're pretty damn good at it. I get it.
Yeah, but they have a computer. They have a finish line, an electronic finish line that shows them if it's out of the strike box or not. Now.
Yeah, we don't even have a finish line.
That's a foul ball, Ross, right there. That's a foul ball.
So I trust that Brad Moran, given the right parameters, could make decisions. I believe it could happen because anyone can look back, just like Mike Murray says, bump and run is fine. It's a beautiful move if done right, just like a slide job is. But if you do it wrong, it just looks like you're a hack. And what happened with Austin Dillon is not a bump and run. That's a dump. He dumped the leader from way too far back. So that's why I think they're going to figure it out, and I think this will change the sport moving forward. Because it was so egregious. No problem.
I think you're going to see a big fine. I don't know. They're going to set a new precedent if they do something.
Was it Lane Riggs? They parked for 2 laps for spinning somebody out?
I've seen crazy stuff over years,
If it was for a win, it's okay, but otherwise we're going to sit you down for a couple laps, and that's the challenge. At least if we can argue balls and strikes, we can argue safe and out, and even go to an instant replay. But when something is okay on Friday night, then it's not okay Saturday night. It's weird. How do you compute? How do you process that? So it's I'm thankful that we don't have that problem at our level of racing. We do police. There
from Matt Weaver, and he said, NASCAR has the 2 devils on your shoulder. You've got the sporting angel and the entertainment devil, and which one are you trying to really serve today? It's a tough balance,
Well, you know what's a bummer? It's a bummer that we're not talking about the first time, not ever, but the first time in modern history, there's been 2 different compounds of tire that a team could run.
Yeah,
there were times when some teams were on Hoosiers and some teams were on Goodyears, but you couldn't switch from Hoosier to Goodyear as far as I know in the race. Like, there should have been some great conversation about a really cool aspect. So what Daniel Suarez did to drive through the field when nobody else was on soft tires. That's what should be the conversation today.
I agree. I thought the option tire rule they brought in, it gave the new wrinkle in the strategy. So if you're watching, it was kind of like a Formula One deal where they had an extra soft compound they could throw on if they wanted to, and everybody got the choice when they could use it for strategy. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, that's what we need every Sunday. Kind of like the choose cone. I mean, it brings in that extra bit of drama, that mid-race strategy. Oh, my goodness. Is there anything more exciting right now, Adam, at the races we're doing, than we go to a caution at somewhere like Flamborough and 6 guys will choose the bottom, and then 8th or 9th place car rolls all the way up to 4th on the outside? That is awesome. You know what I mean? I love that. It's a great way to bring it in. So.
No, I agree.
Treyten, we should expect him. Here he comes.
I think it was cool. I thought it added a fun element little bit of strategy. Teams could change it up, but not really what we're talking about today. And that's fine. You talk about what's the most interesting thing to talk about. And really, our next guest is one of the most interesting things in short track racing over the this summer. I mean, how many kids from Grimsby, Ontario have ever been talked about by Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the most popular racing podcast in the world?
Yeah, let's welcome to the show. Treyten, welcome to the program. Spencer, do we have that clip, by the way? And can we run it? Okay. Treyten, not yet, Spencer. First off, what did you think about the Austin Dillon move yesterday? Quickly.
You know what? I'm kind of I think it was a little bit much how far back he came in there from. Like, I think it's a little different when you're right on the guy's bumper, maybe half a car length back, but he was like 3 or 4 car lengths back and, almost wrecked himself if he didn't catch the 22 there. So I don't know. I don't really like the move, but at the same time, I think it's kind of what they're forced to do, like with the situation that, you win and you're in. He goes from 32nd in the points and he jumps up to a playoff spot. So it kind of, I think any racer that says they wouldn't have done the same thing is probably lying to you, honestly, especially being in that situation.
Or is not going to have a job next week, because if you won't make that choice, there's a lineup of people behind you who will.
Exactly.
So
all right, let's jump into last week before we get too far into it, Adam. So just let's set this up for people who may not understand. Treyten, you've been racing in the States, the late model stock car tour. You pick up the win a week and a bit ago. You go through technical inspection. You pass technical inspection. You're basically leaving the track or on your way home or whatever the deal is. But after the fact that we all feel the door had been closed on tech, and what we traditionally would feel, you get the handshake, you get the payout, you get the kiss off, and you're leaving. That should be the end of tech at that point. Have I got it right so far? Now, just yay or nay me there, because we want to watch the clip. Because,
yeah, not even just after the race driving home. We're talking about 2 days later on Monday afternoon, so it's even worse.
Okay, so that's not good too. So 2 days later, they come and claw this win back that you guys fought so hard to get and have been performing better and better. You finally get the win, and we're going to talk about the process. Dale Earnhardt is one of the owners of the deal, comes in and he posts this on his podcast. Roll the clip to that Dale Jr. where he's talking about the situation with Treyten. Please, Spence.
On Flow, which everybody who's watched our races this year on Flow. I don't know that if you have watched our races, you've been very pleased. I'm confident in saying that, and I'm thankful for the audience that we had. There's been a bit of a controversy since the win. Treyten Lapcevich won the race. Do you know this?
I don't know.
Yeah,
no, you're telling me for the first time.
Well, you look like you're about to interrupt.
No.
Okay.
I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Well, Treyten driving for Chad Bryant, they've been fast. Chad's cars are great. We're thrilled that Chad's a part of the series, and he's put some awesome race cars out on the racetrack for a lot of really cool race car drivers. And Treyten comes from Canada, 20 years old. He was a 2023 Piney Series champion. So really cool that we would have somebody like that come into our series. Well, he's been running well, and he finally appeared to have won the race this past weekend, but it was discovered that he had a 9-inch Ford rear end housing, and those are not legal. It's in the rule book that it clearly states you have to run a quick change rear end housing, and it's not debatable. It's pretty much black and white right there. So unfortunately, our series, the Cars Tour, has been around for a long time, and they've had a lot of the same group handling technical inspection and so forth over the years, and they've ran under a very structured, similar rule book for a long time. And in the last year and a half, when we bought the series, we've changed a lot of the language in the rule book, and we made certain things that weren't clear very clear. And we've tried to do some other things to maybe cut cost or alleviate unnecessary hassle. Not just in the rule book, but in all other protocols. parking or at the racetrack for the trucks and trailers, practice day. We've changed a bunch of protocols. There's a lot of things changing in the series, trying to make the series streamlined and better. And this particular rule is new this year.
All right, that's good. So, Treyten, what's your thoughts on that? They say, just give us your rebuttal to Dale Jr.
Yeah, there's a lot to it, honestly, and I'm gonna go out and say this. I think there's a lot that Dale doesn't know too. And I'm not saying that because I think it's something we did. I feel like it's something internal. I feel like this whole thing is something internal, and that's kind of, I think, pretty much a lot of people have really picked up on that. People are obviously realizing that this came 2 days after the fact. Like we talked about earlier, I cleared tech on Saturday night. Car was good. They shook our hand, congratulated us. We went home with the trophy, the check. Car was on the trailer, no parts confiscated. And pretty much at that point in any other series, as we talked about it, it's good. I mean, we were not notified that anything was under review. I think at the very least they would have told us that there was something questionable on our car. I mean, they did a very thorough inspection as they do every weekend. And we went home as the winners. And you find out on Monday afternoon that, we're potentially being disqualified from a complaint that another competitor basically put in. So without really saying too much, because we are going through the appeal process here, I think it's just a whole big miscommunication amongst series officials. And I think that's really going to, come to fruition here very soon.
Treyten, just tell me flat out if you can't answer this. I'm trying to think of a way to pose the question. A Ford 9-inch rear end, that's not slipping something through the cracks. That's going to be seen. Is there a reason why you thought you could run a Ford 9-inch rear end, or like I say, is that something you can't share with us until things
Well,
are over?
I mean, I will say one thing. People keep bringing up the rule books, and I'm not saying that, Dale said on his podcast, I'm not saying that we had a 4.9-inch rear end, didn't have a 4.9-inch rear end. It is what it is at this point, but people keep bringing up the Cars Tour rule book. They keep bringing up the Pro Late model rules, and you read the difference in the rules. The Pro Late model rule is actually a lot different than the late model stock rule is, and this might have been maybe a mistake that Dale made as well, saying that it's cut and dry and it's pretty clear what you're supposed to do. But I think if everyone goes through the rule book there and kind of takes a peek through, you might think a little bit differently.
All right, and that's why I asked. Like I said, you're not. There are things that you can slide past tech. There's things people do try to. It seems to me a Ford 9-inch rear end isn't one of those things. Like maybe they won't notice. So
no, and I mean it's something we brought to the track. Prepared to change if we needed to. We brought our car to the track. We went through the whole process. We went to voluntary pre-practice inspection, which is not mandatory. It's just, something that you obviously, like I said, voluntary. You go through it, get stuff approved. We weren't trying to sneak anything through it. The officials were aware.
Yeah, like Adam said, that's pretty visual. Like it stands out like a sore thumb. And to pass tech after winning a race, it's not like nobody's seen this part, right? So, Treyten, we don't want to drag you through it too much. We are going to follow this along with you. If you're going through the appeal process, let's just let that run its course, and hopefully it works out in your favor, because I think you guys have a good course. But for us, it brings up that when is tech final? That's the final thing I got for you. Like, to me, when you leave that track as a promoter, you leave Oshweekend Speedway on a Friday, we shake your hand. If another competitor, let's say, is sending me photos of something that passed tech on Friday night, on Saturday morning, well, that's between me and my tech inspectors that we have to fix. But there's no way I could ever see clawing that back. So I don't know how this goes around. Yeah.
That happens all the time.
Asked to say, how the hell did this get by you guys? Yeah. Especially something like a rear end issue, which should be like right there. But yeah, I think this is an issue with the series and their own protocol. Yeah, at what point? So are they going to go back and take your win from 6 months ago now? Like, where does that bullshit end? That's the frustrating part for me. Treyten, don't say much because we want you to still be in good standing with all the folks down there. We hope this works out for you. Anything you want to say? Or let me ask you a better question. What's coming up next? How do you get back on the horse and go kick their ass again without these problems?
Yeah, we're back at Ace Speedway this Friday. The appeal looks like it's gonna take place next week. So a little unfortunate it's not happening before the next race, but I think that we just got to stay focused on the coming races. I think we're about 50 points behind now, so not really much coming back from that. So you're not really thinking about points anymore. You're just going out there to win races, and that's what our plan is. So we're gonna keep going to the track. I've learned a ton with Chad and learned so much about the cars recently. And I think that we're going to the track as a serious threat to run up front and hopefully grab another win.
Has anyone been tallying social media numbers for you, Treyten? You must have had a monstrous week.
The couple days there following the announcement were pretty crazy. I didn't even hear about the Dale Earnhardt thing until a little bit later, and then my Twitter was kind of going through the roof there. But and it kind of sucked because I was racing at Berlin that day. So kind of just trying to put that aside and focus on the race as well.
No, for sure. Treyten, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it as always, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Wow, what a deal, Adam. It's one of those things where tech, when does it end? Let's bring on another young hot stud from Ontario. And I want Nicky's opinion on this too, as a guy who's a crew chief on the Rivalz side.
There's a lot going on in this story. I don't have any inside information, but I'm just picking up pieces that I've grabbed. There is a lot of moving parts to this story, and there's a lot of people who have not got the truth. Like, there's people making big decisions that were not privy to all that was going on underneath them. Like, it's just a horrible telephone game type situation from what it sounds like.
Well, hopefully they can figure it out. Let's bring on Nick Sheridan now. Nick is, I think, 3 straight podiums in a row in the 360s at Ashweekend, along with working with his brother's late model team. Nick, welcome to the show, bud. I'm sure you've seen what's going on with Treyten. In your opinion, when is Tech final? Should this ever be allowed to be clawed back 2 days later in any situation, Nick?
That's I don't know. I might be a little old-fashioned this way, but I feel like, same as we said earlier, once you get that handshake from your tech man at the end of the race, that's it. If they didn't find it in post-race tech there, that's their fault. It's not the racer's problem. So I understand it's tough, and look at it from all angles. But once that final call is set, I think it's I don't know how correct in my opinion it is to be able to go back days later, because like you said, where does it end? Are you going to? How do you know how many races he had in there for? Are you going to disqualify him for his race he won last year that he's got his money for and he's had it for 6 months? Are you going to try and take the money back? Like, how's that work? So I think once you get that handshake, it should be over. But there's obviously some other factors to look into. But that's my opinion.
No, that's fair, man. Nick, in your opinion also, what the hell happened Friday night? Like, you had a good night. You had the kind of night you've been having for the last month, but every division, like, was there something going on out there that we couldn't see?
It's funny you asked me that, because man, a lot of opinionated questions for me tonight. But no, I've been talking about this with my dad and my brother all weekend. I don't know. I think we had a couple weeks off, and everyone was all hot and excited to go back racing, and just got a little too excited and had a bunch of mistakes. But I feel like the track was a good racing surface to race on. I feel like we've raced on worse racing surfaces than that and not had problems. I feel like Ashweekend does a good job putting out a good racetrack weekend, and it was good last week for me and a lot of others, and had some character, but nothing too out of the ordinary. And just, you get a couple weeks off, and we're getting close to the end of the season. I think a lot of guys are feeling pressure to get stuff happening, and it just didn't work out for everyone.
Nick, you guys had trouble on Saturday with the late model. You weren't able to compete. How tough is that for a guy like you to sit there? I saw you had a radio on. So first off, whose radio were you chiming in with? or you just listen to the officials? Secondly, how tough is it for you to stay in the infield for 200 laps with your hands in your pocket?
It's tough, Clinton. It's you work all week to be there, and then just to have it all crushed down that quick. It's tough as a crew member, but not much you can do about it there. It's kind of funny. There was a country concert in London I wanted to go to, and I almost left right when the motor blew up and drove back home to make the concert. I was so mad, but I figured I already paid my pit pass, so might as well watch the show. But we were already there. It's tough, especially as the race goes on. You're sitting there watching. You watch other people, and you're like, dang, I think I have a better car than them. I feel like we could be better than them. You're running good. But it's fortunate for me. I'm still connected with a lot of people that keep me busy and keeps my mind occupied. I was working with Jake's girlfriend, Kendra, there on her car. I was working with my girlfriend's brother, Connor, on his car. And then I was also working with Mike Dowdy's car, Rick Spencer Walt, because they were running for our points, so I went and gave them a hand. So we were bouncing all around through the pits and just helping out where I could with anyone. But that kept me busy, fortunately. But it's a stinger for sure. It's something that sits on your mind all week, and you're not really happy about it. It's nice to have a good maintenance schedule and good record. I feel like we did everything in our power to make sure we could do that. Just some things are out of control, and it's unfortunate.
Nick, I want to jump topics and go back to Friday night racing, where you've been on a tear, but this season is definitely the year of Dylan Westbrook. Now that you've been that close, that many races in a row, what's it going to take? Is this the point where you can really improve because you see how close you are, you see where you need to get to, or is this a point where it's frustrating because you haven't quite gotten there to be able to blow by him?
I mean, I don't know if anyone can really expect to blow by Dylan Westbrook. He's a hot driver and he's got a lot of experience, but it's definitely, it feels good to even be running with him. Like, we've had a couple good shows, we've had battles with him, we've had speed, and we were really close to him on the Thursday night of the Nationals. And I honestly did not feel like we had a good car on Friday. I thought first lap, we went in the first corner, I was like, oh, we're falling backwards. Hopefully we get a top 10 out of this. But we just held on, and for us to still not have a good car but be able to prevail and still come home with a podium, it says a lot for our team and everyone that works with us, and how much I've gained experience as a driver since you learn just by racing in and out. And I think it's really promising. If we would have had a really good handling race car, I don't think we would have been far off of Dylan at all on Friday. But it's just I think it's just experience. Like, he's got a lot of years. He's run a lot of really big races throughout the States, and once you go national like he does and then come back home, it really helps you. And for us, we're still I think he still had a single season. He's run more races than I have in a sprint car my entire life. So we're still working out. We're getting there. We're learning a lot as a team. I'm learning a lot. We're building. We're getting some good equipment through our shop and some spares, and able to go out and do battle where we can. And it's nice to have some gain a little bit of confidence being out there, where I've always felt like throughout my career, I feel like I've been the rookie. Like, I'm just starting out. Like, I'm still youthful, and I obviously still am, but we've run enough races. We're getting to the point where we can start to build some confidence. So it's feeling good. And I think we just got to be able to put together a good night and gain some more experience to be up there with Dylan. But I don't think it's too far away. If we can just keep chomping at the bit and doing the best we can, I don't see why we can't be there.
Nick, my last question for you: what's the one part you need to pick up on your dirt program to get one or two more steps up on the podium?
That's there's a couple. Experience, big thing. We're getting there. We're learning a lot. Money. I hate to bring up that word, but we're doing things like we're using up some used tires and stuff like that. We're trying to still save money if we can to build our program up and have spares. When we're still in a reserve spot, like, I don't really have a second race car per se. Like, if we wreck big, there's a very good chance we're not coming back to next week. So I still try and drive conservatively so I can be there week in and week out. But I think just there's some other teams that are able to come back even if they do wreck, so they can just go out there and give it 110% and throw it in some places that are questionable, where I still try not to do that. But just experience, building our team up. I think we're really building up a good team. We just got to keep doing a little more, and I think we're coming.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, Nick. Thanks for stopping by and chatting with us, buddy.
Thank you guys so much for having me on the show. It's always awesome to be here.
Thanks, Nicky. See you this weekend. Nick Sheridan, driver of the 45 360 sprint car. Actually, we won't see Nick this weekend unless he's at Delaware for the NASCAR race. We'll be there for the Flow and NASCAR on TSN Plus event at Delaware Speedway this Saturday. They had a good race at GP3R, man. I don't want to dig into it because we do have to get to our Burger Barn videos of the week, but GP3R, Adam, I thought Bradley did a great job calling the stream because we weren't there. I thought that at the end of the race, every car was tore to shit, and the racing was awesome. Even that's what I was talking with my dad. I said, look at this. Isn't this amazing? Like, all the way back to, like, 7th, 8th, they had shit hanging off the cars coming down. I mean, you said it for years. That's the beauty of the NASCAR Canada Series is that they tear these cars up and still have some great racing.
And so Three Rivers, that's the short track of road courses. You've got to go elbows up. You've got to be physical. Larry Jackson, that car was clean. He finished 6th. Congratulations to Larry. That's a huge run for him. And they were trying to crash in front of him. He was just moments away from getting a podium finish.
He got turned around early in the race, too, and got back going. So good on you,
yep,
Larry. Okay. Flamborough tomorrow, Adam. Big race. That's kind of why we're doing the show tonight. So if you're watching this on Tuesday, it's going on right now. The Big Gold Rush race at Flamborough. What do you want to say about that before we get into our Burger Barn videos of the week?
Get out there and support John Casale. Just like we tell you when Sunset has a big race, when Peterborough has a big race, get out there and support it. We didn't talk much about it tonight, Clinton, because it's still very fresh, but condolences to Jeff Cassidy while we're on different topics up at Sauble Speedway. We'll go into that with a little more detail, but it's still pretty fresh. We're going to let the dust settle there. But go out there and support a local racetrack because he's putting up big money to put on a show and see how those super late models run.
For sure. Finally, we'll have our Burger Barn videos of the week. We got a few here. I'm not sure what order we send them in. Spencer, spin the wheel. Let's see what comes up. Oh, look at electric skateboards, bud. What do you think about that? Feel like in Hamilton Indoor Indy?
That's awesome.
I bet those things get cooking. That'd be fun.
7 p.m. start time for Flamborough.
Can you ride a skateboard, Big Stud?
God, no. On my belly.
Oh, that'd be awesome. All right, what else we got? Oh, big rigs on dirt, Adam. Have you ever seen this? They used to do it at Cayuga back in the day.
Yeah, I've watched them race at Rolling Wheels.
Oh,
in fact,
man,
Bobby Slack drove one when he was like 16 years old at Rolling Wheels.
Oh, really? That's pretty wild. All right, what else we got, Spencer? Okay, so this is at Maryville Speedway, I think, a couple weeks ago. Watch this mini stock wreck, Adam. That's a pretty wild one. Okay, keep them coming, Spence. These are the videos we get. Okay, don't have reason to go to Iowa, but a farm implement demo derby? What do you think of that?
I love it.
Nothing's more redneck than that.
Did you see the drivers in those things? They make an impact.
All right, let's see. Keep it going. Oh, watch this. Is there anything cooler than speedway racing?
That's a slide job.
Watch. This is not a slide job. Oh!
Wow.
Show that one again, Spencer. Just look at these guys.
Wow.
Huge balls, slinging it sideways.
I'm trying to figure out which one's the rider. What's the rider and what's the bike?
The rider got flung back out and hit by the other bike.
Oof. Did he ever? Holy shit.
What else we got?
Don't forget, next week, Work Hard, Play Hard night.
The Eagle Raceway, slip and slide. Now, it looks like a good idea, Adam, but if you've ever walked down the dirt track, that is the lumpiest slide. That's gotta hurt, man.
I would think so.
Folks, what other track are you going to go to?
Like, that's cruel and unusual punishment to make your kid roll down the bank of the dirt track. I mean, if it's really smooth, it could work, but that's kind of a neat idea, though.
some dink with a fire hose spraying them.
Spraying the kid back up the hill.
There we go.
Right?
Yeah, and then he hits the ditch. I don't know.
Corners, fire, and safety.
Neat idea, not great execution. I don't think. Okay, what else we got?
Happy
Flag
birthday
is
to
out.
your
We're
mom,
back on our
Tyler.
way. Oh no!
This is
Oh
a Fonda
no!
a couple weeks ago.
Big flip here on the front straightaway. We are red.
Show that one again,
Wow.
Spence. Happens so
Flag is
fast.
out. We're
And
back on our
Fonda's
way.
a fast
Oh
track.
no! Oh no!
Like,
Big
how
flip
that
here
car
on the
didn't end
front
up in the
straightaway.
grandstand and
We
tear down that
are
90-year-old
red.
fence at Fonda, I don't know. But
Man.
And Mike
Good on them.
McCain, you see the
look at the carnage.
predicament we're in here. Again, thank
That
goodness
is
for safe
crazy.
race cars. We had a couple.
Wild. What else we got? Anything else? That'll do it. Well, our Burger Barn videos of the week. I want to thank Jay and everybody over at Burger Barn and Petra Plus Travel Stop for all the help they give us here week in and week out and year round as the official fuel supplier of G-Force TV, getting the rig up and down the road. Well, Adam, we don't no sprint cars this weekend at Ush Weekend. So late model open, 50-lap Thunderstock race, and the Canadian mods are back with UMPs.
And I look forward to seeing folks at Flamborough Speedway tomorrow night. So come on out.
Or tonight if you're watching on Tuesday.
Exactly.
All right,
Good show,
thanks,
good
everybody.
guest.
Yeah. Thanks, Spencer, for all you do. That'll wrap it up for this week. Anything else you want to say, Adam?
Nope.
All right, everybody, have a great week. We'll see you this weekend at the tracks.